Hello and welcome. Today in this video I will talk about how to use the WebLOAD load testing tool from RadView and how to use it to test web services. So what is a web service? A web service, the definition is a service, is a software system designed to support interoperable machine-to-machine interaction over a network. So mostly what web services are is using the web technology, usually HTTP, to consume services. So instead of giving you back an HTML, it would give some machine readable format. Usually there are two common formats. One is SOAP that usually uses XML, and the other one is REST APIs that usually use JSON, but there are various of all these options. Some send one format, gets another, etc. But it doesn't matter for the sake of this video. So in WebLOAD we have several approaches that we can work with a web service if you have them. By far the simplest one is just to record an existing test client. So most of those web services are used somewhere. Either you have a website that uses it, or you have some software or test client or something that just uses it. So by far the simplest way to do it is just to record it. That way you don't manually enter anything. You know it's going to work, you've seen it working, and so that's the recommended approach, and I'll show you how to do it. If you don't have a web client and you have, instead of that, you have some documentation or explanation of what you can use, then you can add it yourself in WebLOAD. So there is a web services UI that you can enter the information, and that will generate the web service request for you. And I'll show you that. And lastly, we will show about the more advanced topics like writing this whole thing from manually. This is also possible and is useful in some cases. Okay, let's get started. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to use some demo website here. This one is doing a weather forecast by zip code. Okay, and this is a documentation that they have for their own web services. This is usual for web service. If somebody expects you to call it, they would explain to you how you can do it. So they have a bunch of examples here. This is the SOAP XML version I was talking about, and so that's what the request would look like. And here they have a sample of what the response might look like. And also down here they have some RESTful, more kind of web services type, like a GET and just plain GET and POST. Those are more like RESTful flavored web services. But they also have a simple test. Now that's the first thing you should probably use, is the test. So we'll just go to WebLOAD and we'll do a recording. And okay, I'll just open this same page here in the recording. Okay, and here I will just fill in some details. I'll just use some 123 web zip code, and I'm going to invoke it. Okay, so I just entered the wrong zip code, so I got some information about the city is not found, but that's fine. So as far as I'm concerned, the web service was called. I just got a reply. The reply says that it didn't succeed, but for all purposes, that's what I'm looking for. And I have the recording. So here I have everything I need to make the web service call. So the web service has the address it needs to go to, and what's the data that it's sending. So this is the zip code, and that's basically all I need. So usually, or when you can, that's definitely the way I recommend you to work, because it's just simplest and it's working. Now let's see the other options. So let's say I wanted to do the same thing or a different one based on the documentation. Let's pick one of the other examples here, the SOAP example. Let's say I wanted to make this request, and here I have the definition. I want to make a post for this address here, and I need to make those headers to go, and that's the XML I need to send. So you can follow up the same kind of syntax as you can see for how to make a post in WebLOAD, but maybe I'll cover that later. But there is also a web services building block here in WebLOAD. So you have here the toolbox. The toolbox has all kind of ways to help you create the script easily. So there is a WebServices building block. So the way you use it, you just drag and drop it here or wherever you want it, and you start defining the definitions of what you want. So here it tells us, so this is a post request, okay, and it goes to this address. So we're gonna say the method is post, and we're gonna put in the URL, which was HTTP. I'll just grab it from here, and yeah, it was this portion here. Okay, next it says you need to give me this content type header. So let me grab this bit here and say content type is this, and also there is a custom header here, SOAP action, that has this value. Content length, some places you have to calculate what's the actual length, but here you don't need to, so WebLOAD will do that for you. But here's a custom header, so you can also add whatever custom header you want with this value here. That's what they expect to see. And finally is the body. So the body you can create with name value pairs if you're doing more of RESTful type of interface. But here, because it's just a SOAP interface, and we'll just go for the raw version and just give it this XML. And in this XML, they have this, that's a value that is actually an identifier that's changing. That's the input type, that's the string. So I can just go, that's the zip code. So I'm going to change it here to my value 123 that I'm testing with. I'm going to use the same value I did for the other test. And I'm going to do OK. Okay, so now I have the same, the web services. This one is the SOAP version of it. I have it here and I can run it to see the results. So here I can see the response, the same response as I got before, which is that the zip code is incorrect, but that's basically what I'm looking for. Okay, now that we've seen how to use the SOAP version, we can see the same concept for the REST one, REST API. So let me add another web service code, put it first. And here we're going to use not the SOAP version, but just a simple get version. So the get version and the post version, those would be the RESTful kind of way. So this basically has the IP and it has a zip equals something string. So again, let me use the URL, and this time the method is get, and we're going to use the URL up to here, and right, and no, sorry, it's where the slash, yeah, that will be coming from here, and the data is zip equals 123, and if you need more values you can add whatever, CT is something else, whatever if needed, but here that's all we need. Okay, right, and there we have it. That's the request to make the simple REST API call. Now, what else can we do with it? So there are a few other things you can do. First of all, there is nothing magical about the way it's written. This is just, eventually it just becomes our JavaScript that you can use. So if you want to make another request, which is slightly different. You can just copy and paste it, and it's saying you don't have to go through the UI. You can use here a different value. That works too. You can use parameterization, the same thing. If you want to change this value not to be direct, you can get it from a file or from anywhere else, get randomly generated. All those things obviously work. And lastly, this is not really related, but it's not closely related, is how you work with the data. So eventually we get an XML back, or a JSON back. So you can always use, so there is, if you do http://save source, you get back the response, and you can manipulate. So this is going to be, you can use anything from a JavaScript methods to search values. You can use our extract value helper. So this is like something like value equals extract value, something that start with status and end with /status. So that would give us the status from the source. Okay, and then you can inspect that value, or you can use the XML. We have functions to work with XML, or if it's a JSON, you can do JSON dot parse, and you can get an object out of the same, again from the page we got, and that would be some kind of an object you can interrogate, and then you can say object dot result is equals to something. You can check it. That's it. That's how you use web services. Pretty simple. Thanks for watching this video. You can download WebLOAD at our website and see more videos in our website or on our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.